I was always the middle child, not the eldest who carried all my parents' pride, nor the youngest who received all their affection and attention. From an early age, I learned to stay in my corner, to solve things on my own, to understand that, at home, my silence was often more welcome than my voice. My parents, Helena and Augusto, were strict people. Everything revolved around appearances. Good grades, good manners, good reputation. And in the middle of all that, I, Sophia, was the one who never quite fit in. When I was 17, I started dreaming about studying music. I used to play my guitar secretly in my room, record small videos, and send them to local festivals. One day, I got a scholarship to study in São Paulo. I thought my parents would be proud, but it was the opposite. They were furious. "You're going to throw your life away to play the guitar?" My father shouted. My mother added coldly, "We didn't raise a daughter to live off a dream." It hurt more than I could admit. I tried to explain that the scholarship covered everything, that it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. But they wouldn't listen. My father's final words were, "If you walk out that door, don't come back," and I did. I left with a backpack, my guitar, and a lump in my throat. The first few months were both heaven and hell. I shared a tiny apartment with 2 roommates, taught guitar lessons to afford food, and spent sleepless nights studying. I missed home, or at least the idea of home, but for the first time, I felt alive. Every note I played was a cry for freedom. Years passed. I recorded songs, performed in bars, parties, any place that would let me stand on a stage. And one day, out of nowhere, one of my songs went viral online. My life turned upside down. I started performing at bigger venues, signed with a small record label, and before I realized it, my name was on the radio. Everything happened fast, intensely, and yet, I often felt alone. By then, I hadn't spoken to my parents in 4 years. Sometimes my older sister texted me secretly, telling me they listened to my songs but pretended not to care. "Dad stays quiet, but Mom cries when she hears you," she wrote once. I read it, closed my phone, and tried to pretend it didn't affect me. But it did. As time went on, success grew. I bought my own house, built a small studio, and ironically, started giving interviews about following your dreams no matter what. In one of them, I talked about the day I left home. The video went viral, and that's how my parents found out where to find me. They showed up backstage after one of my shows. When I saw them, for a split second, I felt like that 17-year-old girl again, nervous, scared to disappoint. My mother came crying, saying she missed me, that she regretted everything. My father stood behind her, eyes down, looking smaller than I remembered. "We just wanted the best for you," my mother said. I smiled sadly and replied, "The problem is, your best was never mine." They tried to reconnect. They came to a couple more shows, sent messages. But the distance that time creates is cruel. The words never said, the hugs that never came, the years that slipped away. None of it can be reclaimed. I forgave them, but forgetting was something else entirely. A few months later, my father got sick, a stroke. When I visited him at the hospital, he could barely speak. The moment I walked in, he looked at me, tears filled his eyes, and he squeezed my hand tightly. I knew then he no longer had time to say what he wanted. I sat beside him and played my guitar softly, like I used to when I was little. He closed his eyes and smiled as if he finally understood. Not long after, he passed away. At the funeral, my mother hugged me and whispered, "We waited too long, didn't we?" I didn't answer. I just cried with her. In the months that followed, she started visiting me often. She'd sit on the porch while I played, sometimes staying quiet for hours as if trying to make up for all those lost years. We didn't talk much, but there was peace in those silences, a silent attempt at healing. Sometimes she told me she listened to my songs every night and that it felt like talking to me in secret. I think deep down it was her way of asking for forgiveness. Now, every time I step on stage, I look up before I start to play and think about how different things could have been if love had spoken louder than pride. Because time forgives many things, but the heart doesn't always forget what came too late.